Good morning, UPB, on this Thursday, November 19, 2015. Who would have thought towards the end of 2015 V-bottoms would be coming back in style as they were back in 2014? Look at this wonderful V-bottom that we saw from the late Friday lows, all the way through to now Thursday. What amazing move we had yesterday, kind of consolidated before the Fed minutes and spiked to the upside, meeting now resistance at Wednesday's highs. You look at Wednesday, that's really where the selling started exasperating itself. Exasperating. Big words early this morning. That was on the heels of last Monday's pullback. We had a recovery bounce up to Wednesday, and that's where we are now in S&P 500 futures. Although we were consolidating a bit, you can see we had a nice spike down on Wednesday. Right now, consolidating, we're going to make that move up to the highs that we saw 2 Wednesdays ago. Something to keep an eye on is the dollar index. Keep talking about this, breaking the triple digits. We came so close yesterday on the U.S. dollar index, missing it just by a hair before pulling back. We're down over 0.5% here this morning. I think that's good news here for the stock market because if you look a longer term perspective, this is eventually going to break into triple digits again as it did earlier in the year, going to break up to a 12-plus year high. So the U.S. dollar index pulling back a little bit here. We have the bond market. Look at TLT, 20-year bond treasury ETF. Closed at 120 exactly yesterday, but you look this morning, continues to move higher. Nice little spike up to the upside. Does this make any sense to you? The U.S. dollar is falling. Bond market is catching a bid. Does not sound like a market that's expecting the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates come December next month. Could you believe that? December is only a month away. Unbelievable. So we're going to find out exactly what Federal Reserve is going to do just in a couple weeks. So hard to believe. Also, look at crude oil. Crude oil continued to fall yesterday, but getting a bounce here today up to 42.02 on light crude oil futures here. If you look, again, from the 20-year chart I continue to bring up, the trend has been broken. You draw a trend line back from before 2000, back in the late 90s. All the way across, the trend has been broken. It looks rather ominous here for a continuation and move to the downside. Also, with the U.S. dollar continuing to gain strength, this is going to put a little more weight to the downside for crude oil. Let's look at some charts. So we have earnings reports last night. GMCR. You see GMCR was at $40 at the close, 40.50. Well, guess where it is now? Unbelievable move here. After the bell yesterday, got up to almost $50 a change, 47.27. The options market was pricing in a big move. Could you believe the $48 calls were something like $1? Can you believe that? Expecting a 20% move, and that's what we got here for GMCR. Looks like it's going to continue the upside. I'll get into a chart of that in a little bit. We have Baidu breaking out yesterday. If you look at Baidu was down to 196, 197, I believe, yesterday. You could look at the lows when it opened, 196.50, and you can see the continuation. Once it broke above the 200 level, which has been a tough nut to crack and held onto it. Look at it start to really take off. Closed it at highs into the closing bell, up 4%. So that's something to watch for continuation, possibly to 210 by the end of the week. Also, GoPro. GoPro was beaten down almost 10%. Now, this is on the heels of, 3-4 weeks of just nasty selling. Started to pick up in the summer of this year. Let's go back to the 1 year, and you can see it broke through support. And from really August, here, look at we are up at $65 a share for GoPro. And if you go back to this time last year, we're at $80 a share. So if you look at this time last year, 80, we're down to $18.90 yesterday at the lows. The selling has to stop at some point, doesn't it? Well, one thing to keep in mind is with GoPro, heavily shorted stock. So if you look at the short interest at some point, unless the shorts think it's going to zero, if they want to collect their profits, they're going to have to buy back stock, which could elicit a little bit of a short squeeze. So that's something to keep an eye on. Also, the way it's sold off. I mean, GoPro isn't going to zero. So we could see a little short-term bounce. It got into some 20 calls yesterday just for the move to the upside if it does indeed happen. Also a stock that's been beaten down, FUY, similar. Now, you've seen this a lot in the market the last couple trading days where the market would rally and some of these beaten down names, FUYE, GoPro, and Twitter, would continue to fall. When you look, FUY looks like it's bottoming here after its earnings kerplunk. You can see it's found support, a nice little move up over 5% yesterday. Are we going to continue this move? One more stock with a similar chart I did not mention, SSYS. We got some calls earlier this week. The 2250 variety up almost 4%, was over 24 early in the session, but another one to watch here for a move up to $30 just as a relief rally into year's end. Speaking of relief rallies, I did a post at the blog at optionmillionaires.com if you want to check it out, talking about retail clause. If you look up, Macy's got some $39 calls yesterday. Looking for a move to the upside, drastic collapse really at the start of November. Its earnings report But starting to round out a bit here, and we're seeing this move from 72.50, my goodness, over 50% drop since the summer for Macy's. Starting to curl back up. We're going to fill this earnings gap, move up to 50 possible. The December calls are pretty attractive there as well. A stock that's really telling you what's going to happen with some of these beaten down retail names. Walmart. Look at Walmart moving its way up to you, babe. So you look at Walmart. The gap down that it saw back in the middle of October. Hey, you know what? This 67.50 level, not such a stretch. And guess what? Those $65 calls going out to December is something like 40 cents. So pretty inexpensive to take a gander at the old Walmart via some out of the money options. Also, a couple others to watch. Urban Outfitters earnings report sent it at sub 19. Look at this reversal. This is a great reversal here. Rejected. Beating away those shorts here and the people selling the stock as we start to move back up. And you know what? We could get back up to this $29 level. And they've added pizza. I mean, come on, clothes and pizza. What else do you need? I mean, those are two key foundations to life on this planet, right? Clothes and, all right. A couple other charts to look at. Apple. Yesterday, Goldman Sachs came out and said, hey, this is the best stock on the planet. Of course it is, largest in the world by market cap. You can see it came down to support, coming back up, and this, I don't know what you call a crab. I don't even know what this pattern is here, but still looks like some sort of a topping pattern. I still think it's going to lead to a price under 100. This ladder that we took up to the record highs is going to be the exact pattern we're going to see to the downside. But right now it looks rather bullish, and you know what? You got to trade with the momentum in this market, and that's what's happening here. If you look at the SP 500, S&P 500. If you look 5-year weekly, you can see the trend line going across here at the bottom. That's been acting as support. And look at this. This is the 2015 action here at record highs. We're trying to come back up to it, and I think there's a very good likelihood that we will. So look at that for the S&P 500 ETF. The spiders also look at the NASDAQ. The QQQ came back to 110 support, bouncing up near record high levels here. And you look, remains well supported here, just under 100, and also at the 110 level. IWM. We got to put that 120 level back in focus, folks. You can see it came up to it just recently. That was the markings of a pullback. We did indeed pull back. We're starting to bounce again. The key will be we need to break over it because small caps led the market to record highs back in the spring and summer 2015. Couple other charts to watch. XLE Energy. We're getting a bounce in crude oil. You can see XLE's coming back up. Remains contained in this downward trend. Yes, the trend is broken. So we get back up to 72.50. This is going to be a great opportunity to get some puts. And two more charts here. Amazon. Amazon got some of the 660 puts late on Friday. What a day. Those ended up going some 18 times from $1.11 to over $18. We're going to see a similar move on Friday. I can't wait till tomorrow. But you know, it's been a strong reversal off the lows on Monday. The 635 calls were $4 at the open on Monday, and you can see the move it's had when it got down to 622. It's moved all the way up to 665. Those $4 options are worth over $30 each. So we're getting back up to levels that we saw previously with Amazon being of the all-time high variety. At that point and stage there, we're going to probably meet some resistance. So I'm looking, hopefully we get up to the 672 level here today on Amazon, and maybe we'll have a repeat of last Friday. We got some Amazon puts. We got some Priceline puts. Priceline was up at the 13.15 level. Look at the breakdown we had on Monday. I was joking around in the chat room because this is Friday's action. I got some puts and we just bleeding. I said, wouldn't it be ironic if we just lost it on Monday? And sure enough, Amazon Priceline dropped 5% at the opening bell on Monday. The irony. Isn't it? All right. And one more chart to watch would be Facebook. Facebook is breaking out, looks poised. I believe Goldman Sachs is out this morning, or Citigroup, one of those banks, talking about the stock heading up to 135 a share. Lots of room to go to the upside. Weren't so bullish on it, investors, at least on Friday, as it dropped from 108 down to 102. On Monday, dropped to 100, but you can see the trend remains intact. Upside for Facebook. All right, UPBOptionMillionaires.com. We'll see you in the chat room. Everybody have a great trading session. Goodbye.